Some of you may remember learning how to drive a standard. Some of you may remember being the passenger in the car of the person learning to drive the standard. It can be a frightening thing. So come back with me to that time where you might have been that driver. Your hands are on the wheel. They're turning white as you grip it. Or you're the passenger with the nail mark still engraved in the door as you bunny hop into an intersection and the yellow light turns red and you don't know what to do. Have you ever thought you were in the wrong place at the wrong time? Well, many people have fears, and it paralyzes them from living the life that you truly want to live. And it takes baby steps and action steps to take you to where you want to be. So today I want to share with you some of the fears that you might have and the steps that you can take to move forward. And one of my most favorite quotes in the world is by Eleanor Roosevelt. And she said it best when she said, "You gain strength, courage, and confidence with each experience that you really look fear in the face. And you do the one thing that you think you cannot do. You take action. It all starts with action." So I remember in high school, my girlfriend, she got a brand new burgundy Grand Am for graduation present. And it was a standard. And she said, "Deb, come with me. Let's go practice." And I was like, "Sure. What do friends do? We support each other." So I said, "Okay, let's go." Little did I know. There's a long stretch of highway, smooth riding. And as we mentioned earlier, I grew up in a small town. So went to the next small town until we hit the stop signs and the lights. And you can imagine what happened. Two girls giggling in a car, laughing so hard we almost peed our pants, I'm sure. But never, ever was I ever going to drive a standard. Not a chance. Now let's fast forward a few more years. My knight in shining armor came to me in a white Acura Integra. And he wanted me to learn how to drive a standard. And I was like, why do I need to drive a standard? No, I'm not going to. Just in case, he said, Deb. And I said, look, okay, I got 911, I got AMA, and I got taxi. No problem. I did not want to take a chance to potentially damage his car, so I didn't learn. But as a few years went on, my knight in shining armor turned into my husband. And we needed a second vehicle because we have kids and they started getting into activities and we needed the second vehicle. So he came home and he says, "I see a car, let's go check it out." It was beautiful. Nice, silver, sleek Honda Civic, 4-door. He comes back beaming from the test drive and I looked at him. He goes, "Yeah, it's a standard." Just when you think you get away, what you resist persists. It comes right back at you. So he said, "You'll learn. It's okay. Let's just buy the car." So this is early on in our marriage, and I caved. I said, "Okay." Have you ever woken up in the morning and thought you shouldn't have done something that you did the day before? Well, that morning I bolted upright in bed, and I said, we made a huge mistake. We should not have bought that car. I dreamt that I was driving to work, and there is a parkade that goes down where I have to go. And I dreamt that I was going down, and I couldn't stop it. Bang! I hit the wall at the bottom, and that was the end. And he's like, "Deb, there's a brake?" And I'm like, "Oh, well." And then he said, "You can learn. It's okay." And I said, "Oh, okay, I'll try it." So he took me out, and we went in an industrial area, and I stalled, I jerked, I cried, And then I stalled, and I jerked, and I cried. And I thought, okay, for 2 weeks I didn't drive this car. I got better each time, but for 2 weeks there was a period that I did not drive the car. Then I needed to drive the car, and we went out again. And again I was jerk, stall, and I cried. And he looked at me, he said, "Did you forget everything that I taught you?" And then tears just came running down my face, and they stung. And I was getting ready for work. And I went up to each one of my children, and I gave them a kiss. And then my knight in shining armor gave him his kiss, and I said, "Look, I'm taking the car, and I may not be back." So, do you think I got to work? You bet I did. You bet I did. And I stalled once, and I went down into my dreaded parkade, and I did not hit the wall. So, it's just an example. If I can do something like that, so can you. It just takes little steps to overcome our fears. A couple of years ago, my friend Richie, he came over with his brand new, shiny BMW Z4. And I was like a kid in a candy store. He's like, tossed me the keys. He goes, "Deb, go for a ride." And I'm like, ooh, I don't like to drive other people's cars, just for the fear of damaging it. But you know what? I got my picture taken in that car. I got in that car, and I went down Anthony Henday, myself, pedal down, music blaring, wind blowing in my hair. And I tell you, it was the best feeling ever. And you know what? It was an automatic. It was awesome. Dorothy Thompson says, "Only when we are no longer afraid do we begin to live." So we need to educate ourselves, minimize our risks, and go forward. It all begins with you. You need to believe that you are capable and able to do whatever you want to do. And the first thing you need to do is take those baby steps toward action. Mark Twain said it best. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed with what you didn't do than the things that you did. So throw away the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds, explore, dream, and discover, and shout from the rooftops, "I did it!"